With the Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
This is your captain speaking. We've got clear runway and the weather's fine, but we're just going to circle up here a while and get lucky. No, nothing like that. It's just these cash prizes add up quick. So I suggest you sit back, keep your tray table upright, and start getting lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Who remembers the BJ and Bill show all those years ago on WOLZ? Well, many have said they missed the show, and guess what? They're back! Welcome to the BJ and Bill podcast.
And welcome to the BJ and Bill podcast number, let me see, 1 hand, 2 hands, 1 foot, 15.
Gonna go for all 4 hands and feet starting next week. That's awesome.
I know. My wife wasn't very happy when I took my shoes off. I'm just saying.
I hear you. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Not bad. I'm getting all excited about selling the old House of Rooney to move into the new House of Rooney. I'm just hoping that, I don't have a space in between where I'll have places to stay, but I would like to move my furniture and everything from point A to point B, not from point A to point B, and then from B to point C.
Right. I understand. You want to make it a smooth transition and without an in-between stop.
And
I just had to plug in a different microphone, by the way. I still sound okay at your end?
Yeah, you sound fine.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
And I'm still loving.
We talked about, go ahead.
I'm still loving the new owners too, because they're allowing us to stay here for 20 days.
Okay, cool.
If we close on the 30th. We get to stay till I guess it's 21 days because we close on a Friday, the Friday before New Year's, and they let us stay till the 20th, which is like 3 weeks from then.
How does that work? Do you have to pay them rent, or I've heard of that in the past, but I don't know how the actual mechanics of it work.
I think it all depends on how the deal is made. Because I mentioned, we did go down in price. We didn't get the price we wanted. So I did mention to my realtor, is there any way we could do a rent back? Because a lot of people do that. They'll rent it for a month afterwards, so they can, make the transition to their new place and everything else.
Yes.
So I asked the realtor if I could do that. She said, let me ask them. And they said, oh, you can stay for free for, till the 20th. Maybe they're thinking about moving down here themselves on the 21st. Not sure. But I said, for nothing? They go, yeah. They said you can just stay. And I go,
nice.
I go, can you get that in writing just so,
young man, we're gonna need that in writing. Yes. Well, that's good.
Thinking, that's good. Because if you close, and they could say, well, we want to move in now, and
that's true.
Well, we're not ready to go now because you told us we could stay, but so I just wanted to make sure that was in writing.
Good. Well, good. I'm glad for you. I mean, that's a good thing. So yeah. So BJ Oda might be on his way. Well, one way or another, he's on his way to his new place here in 6 weeks. So cool.
I hope so. Now, I will tell you this, and my realtor said too, because I guess she's worked with some new builds too. Once the drywall is up, and then it's usually a matter of about 45 days.
Oh, so for new and are you at that point with the new place?
We're at that point.
Okay, good.
And of course, I haven't been there since. I haven't really been there this week, so who knows what they may have done this week. I would say though, maybe in 2 weeks as we hit Christmas,
right?
I would say probably everything will come to a screeching halt.
Probably,
maybe not.
I got to tell you, I've talked about my friend in north of Jacksonville here, who I have visited several times. She lives in a little tiny town, just literally at exit 6 over the border north of Jacksonville in Georgia. And it's a neighborhood like you're moving into where they're building. And they work 7 days a week. I mean, I don't know, maybe they have, real lax labor laws in Georgia. I don't know. But there are guys working on these houses 7 days a week, sun up to sundown. and they crank them out. I mean, they are, they're hard at work, because obviously they've sold them. So every day that it's not finished, you're losing money because, people could be paying you for them.
Yes.
So they're working. I don't know. Maybe your place is, equally hard at work there. I don't know.
I think our place is being built by elves.
Elves? Really? And what evidence do you have of elf building, Mr. Odom?
We usually go up there about once a week just to check things out, see how everything's going.
Mm-hmm.
Every time we go up there, nobody's working. But things get done while we're gone. So I'm thinking it's elves.
It's little tiny guys working throughout the night with little tiny hammers so they don't make any noise.
And they make cookies during the day.
Oh yeah, I forgot. They're busy in that big hollow tree, of course. Yes. I love that. Elves at work. So boy, they need some help. I mean, just like the railroad workers, they need some union help, because if they're making cookies during the day and building homes at night, when do they sleep? When do they make little elves?
I don't know. They got to get some Z's in somewhere, because now not only are they working during the day, during the night,
right?
Now they have to be flying back and forth from the North Pole to be making toys. Wow. They are busy little boogers.
Wow. No rest for the elf weary. Wow. That's amazing.
I mean, in December.
It's December. Yeah, no, I get that. Wow. Wow. Have you noticed, by the way, there's, I think it's Macy's, the big fancy department store. They have a Santa now who's like a hot Santa. I mean, if you were a 40, 50, 60-year-old lady, which is probably the Macy's, I don't know if that's the Macy's demographic or not, but they have a hot Santa. He's like sharp looking. And then John Hamm plays Santa, from Mad Men. That John Hamm plays Santa in another commercial too. And of course he's, People Magazine's sexiest man alive or whatever. And so Santas are getting hotter as they get older, I guess. That's a good, good thought for you and I, Mr. Odom. As we get older here, we'll get hotter.
Yeah, I wish that was happening.
I just thought I'd throw that out there and see if it got any kind of reaction.
Maybe you're getting hotter.
The only time it gets hotter for Bill is when summertime comes in Gainesville, Florida.
Yeah. Of course, I don't get hot around here because my wife now, she's at the age of, getting older.
Uh-huh.
She has those hot flashes.
Right.
So she'll have the air down to about, 69. I'm sitting there going, oh my God, can you turn it up just for a minute? And then she'll have a fan on beside her too. And I'm going, holy birds, woman.
I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. That's nature. That's what happens. You're going to have to live with that for a while.
And we're speaking of this and we were speaking of Santa and
yes,
we were
Santa,
speaking
yes.
of getting older.
Yes.
When you see Santa, he has a white beard, right?
Of course.
I don't think I've ever, well, maybe once in a blue moon, I've seen maybe somebody under 50 with a white beard. It's usually red, brown, white, like blonde.
Sure.
You never see a white beard, only on an older gentleman, right?
Yes.
Well, when I got to be about that age, staying out all night just didn't work out for me.
No.
So how is this old geezer going around eating cookies and milk and staying up all night? Someone please tell me the answer.
Well, the good news is he only has to do it once a year.
Oh, maybe
he gets some really good sleep. I was going to say the week before, but I'm thinking he's probably pretty busy most of December. So he chills out in the Bahamas or something for a month, in late summer, and then he hits it hard. It's like, going to the gym. He hits it hard November, December, and then he's off. It's, the season's over. It's like, Super Bowl is in February. You're done for the rest of the summer. So take it out. But to answer your question, you're right. I would love to have the old man's energy. How he does that, I have no idea. I
feel a little better after you explained how he does this.
I'm not managing elves and I'm not training reindeer. That's all I'm saying. But I appreciate the old man's energy.
Well, what's new going on in your life?
Darn little. I shouldn't say that. There's always something exciting happening here. I joined this meetup group of senior singles or something like that. And so far, I mean, they have dinners and they have game night where you come over and play Monopoly or whatever, but I'm basically using it to play pickleball, my one true love at this point in life. And at least twice a week now, and tomorrow we're playing again, so it'll be 3 times this week. So I'm loving life with that. I really enjoy. I mean, I'm an old lazy guy, so there's not much that I need to do. So I'm playing pickleball a lot. I'm still doing my keto diet thing and screwing it up by eating popcorn a couple of times a week at night, watching football games. So it's all good. It's all good. I love it.
If you're out playing pickleball, you're getting exercise.
Getting some exercise during the day and then ruining at night with popcorn and snacks. So yes, I have to. But
you're getting those popcorn and snacks, and then you're taking it off the next day by playing pickleball.
I appreciate your thoughts on that. Yes. So that's been about it. I mean, we've got a few things that we were going to talk about, but none of them really related to day-to-day life around here for yours truly. So BJ Odom waiting on a house to be built, Bill working on his, website business and all of that, and life goes on. And then we just, a couple old men talking on the podcast. Now,
I mentioned this before we went on the air, and I said, well, let me wait on the story.
Right.
I have been going to Tampa General Hospital for probably nearly 22, 23 years.
I was going to say, long as I've known you and then some.
And so I've never, ever had like a bad experience.
Uh-oh.
I've even all the time.
This is like where the Jaws music starts really low in the background.
You see it coming, don't you?
You see it coming. You hear it coming. So you've 22 years, never a bad experience. Please go on, Mr. Odom.
So I've talked about this, and we talked about it, how long ago did we talk about it? Maybe one of the first episodes that I was going to a sleep doctor who told me that I had sleep apnea. I needed a CPAP machine.
Been using one for 30 years. Well, maybe not 30, but 20 years for sure.
His words to me were, you have this very, very bad. It's very, very bad for your health.
Uh-huh.
And you will be hearing from the CPAP company within 2 weeks.
CPAP company, yes.
I don't know how long ago it seems like it's been a couple months at least, bare minimum. And I'm still waiting.
Oh.
Still waiting.
Did he write, because it requires a prescription. Did he write you a prescription?
Obviously he did.
Oh,
he was sending it to a company. And see, I can't really call his office, but I have a portal.
A portal potty, yes, we all have a portal. Yes.
Where you type in, you can write, messages to your doctor and ask questions and things like that.
Yes.
I've sent him at least 5 portal messages.
Wow.
And
there's zero phone number, zero email address or whatever that anybody will actually respond to.
Not that I'm finding. So finally today.
Okay.
And I never do this. Never. It's not my nature. But I guess today, I don't know. I noticed on my iWatch that my oxygen level was like 84 sometime last night.
Ooh, that doesn't sound good.
I know it doesn't.
I know.
So I tried to call, couldn't get through to anybody. You could talk to the billing department and what. He's at like one of the clinics. He's not really at the hospital, but it's a TGH clinic.
Right.
It's actually the old, and I didn't even know there was an old TGH hospital, but there was.
Okay.
So I, tried to get a hold of him. Finally, I just went online because I was trying to get a number or something that I could actually contact him with.
Right.
And I just wrote a bad review on his page. I gave him a 1-star, explained to people. He told me how important the CPAP machine was. It's been months. I've tried to get a hold of him.
Right.
Still no CPAP machine.
Wow. So it'll be interesting to see if they respond to your bad review, because some companies pay a lot of attention to that. And I have a story about that having nothing to do with healthcare, but it's a cool story, and I'll tell you in a second. But I don't know. So you've sent the messages through this portal, quote unquote, but that's it. I mean, you haven't actually looked for a number, or I'm sure you looked other places.
In the beginning, I did look for a number, and I called, and they give you like a 3 choices.
Big menu. Yep.
You can talk to billing.
Yep.
Or you can talk to someone about, I don't know what it is. There's 3 different options, and none of them really would be the option that I needed. So, a while back, I just started using options.
Right.
And you never get a person.
No.
You leave a message there.
Yeah.
So today was just that day that I felt like enough's enough.
Mm-hmm.
I need to make some noise. And I even said in my review that TGH, I've never had a bad experience, how much I loved TGH.
They are keeping you alive, literally. Yeah,
this doctor doesn't meet the TGH standards.
Oh, well put. Well put.
So
Not
I'm
up to the usual standards to which I am accustomed through this wonderful healthcare organization.
So I didn't write that, but that's not.
I know.
I needed to have you on the phone while I was writing the review.
Well, you have to bring the hammer, but you have to do it in a nice way.
So now I'm thinking about just getting on the phone and finding a local sleep doctor.
I think I may have told you this story, but when I had this sleep study done at Lee Memorial Hospital in Fort Myers, Florida, 20 some years ago, thank you very much, at the new one, out there by Sanibel, or out there by the beach.
Health Park.
The single most transformative medical thing. Now, you, of course, I'm talking to a guy with a new heart. So, I know it doesn't reach that level. Single most transformative medical thing I ever did was an overnight. Did you do the overnight sleep study thing? Did you stay in the hospital overnight with all the gizmos on you?
Well, let me tell you, I have in the past.
Oh, okay.
Like I told you, before my kidney transplant,
right?
I seem to be having problems with this before. And it's because even my wife would say, you quit breathing at night.
Yep. My then wife said the same thing.
So that's when I went. And then I had it just like you.
Right.
But the last sleep test I had like one of those oxygen things that went on my finger.
Right.
And I wore a belt. And the finger thing plugged into the belt, which also had a little box on it.
Oh, wow.
And then I had kind of like an oxygen tube or something come out my nose.
Right.
And plugged into the box.
Right.
It was just like a little, young people won't get this phrase, like a little transistor, like a little cell phone.
Right.
Like
a little fanny pack bag.
And I put a couple things around my wrist, I guess, for I don't know what they were for. They weren't really blood pressure things, but around my wrist, maybe my heart rate, I don't know. And I plugged all this stuff into a little box, and then I slept at home.
When I did it, it was a sleepover at Lee Memorial, and you're in this room that looks like something out of a Frankenstein movie because it's, a bed with cameras and sensors and everything all around you. Same thing, oxygen monitor, but they also put little things on your head.
Yeah, I remember that too.
For brain monitors and all of that stuff. And then it's like, I don't know, 10, 11 o'clock at night. And the young man who's setting this all up says, okay, try and sleep now. And I'm like, right. Because I'm, you're wearing, it looks like something out of, Star Wars. And so I tossed and turned as I always do, and probably snored. I don't know. I might have slept a little bit. And then middle of the night, I don't know, 2 o'clock in the morning. I don't even remember. I have no idea. Young man comes in. He says, okay, let's try this. And he puts the thing on my nose, the little breathable CPAP. They come in a whole variety of styles now. I have a little itty bitty one now, but he puts this thing on my nose, turns it on, and it feels really weird, but it's like, okay, I get the impression that this is what a dog feels like when he sticks his head out the car window and the wind is blowing up his nose. So I'm like, okay, I'll try it. And literally, this is how I remember it. The young man is the nurse, the technician, the whatever he is standing at the door, pulling the door closed behind him, and he says, "Good night, sleep well." And I said, "Good night." And he closes the door and literally reopens the door and says, "Good morning." And I said, "You are effing kidding me." He says, "No." I said, "What time is it?" And he said, 9 o'clock. I said, "I just slept." And he says, "Like a baby." And I that gizmo helped me to fall asleep immediately and slept straight through for the 6 hours or whatever the rest of the test was. And it blew my mind that could make that much of a difference about the way you sleep and the quality and all that. So I have been cheerfully sleeping with mine now for 20 plus years.
I don't think I ever got used to the one I had.
I know. And some guys will, I say guys because it's mostly men who use them, although some ladies do too. Some guys will tell me that they've never gotten used to it. They can't do it. They throw it off in the middle of, and I'm like, oh no, I'm not sleeping without it. Thank you. I mean, I'm going on vacation. It's coming with me. I'm going somewhere. It's coming with me. And it's just a little tiny thing. I mean, it's literally the size of if you stacked up 2 or 3 DVD cases together, it's like that big. Thank you. Coming with me. Yeah.
Now, do you have one that has the moisture in it too?
I used to. But here in Florida, I've never thought I needed it. So I've had them that have had it. Let's put it that way. The first one I got had a water tank on it. You'd fill it up with distilled water every night or something like that. So it would keep the humidity up, but I must be a tough guy. I don't know. I don't use it. I don't need it. So anyway, I sleep with that thing every night and it is my best friend in bed. Ooh, that sounded weird, but
well, as long as you didn't say I was your best friend in bed,
there you go. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. So anyway, long story short about CPAP. So I hope you get it. I mean, I hope you get some action on that because for me, it's been, I mean, there aren't many things where you can say it's been life-changing, but that was life-changing 20 some years ago. And amazing, just amazing stuff. So anyway, I hope it all works out for you and that you can get a little bit of, interaction with the doctor's office on that. Cause yeah, it's important. It's super important.
Like I said, I'm actually going to reach out and here's another problem when you're in the midst of moving and you're not exactly sure when you're moving. Cause I remember when I had it the first time, well, you can tell me cause you've had it for a long time. Do you still go in and see that doctor, right?
Oh, hell no.
Oh, you don't?
I mean, literally that doctor was in Fort Myers 25 years ago. The doctor that originally prescribed, he's probably living on a golf course in Scottsdale somewhere for all I know. I mean, no. So I probably don't want to be admitting to any particular kind of, fudging here on the show, but I had one prescription written again 20 years ago, and I had one follow-up and then a follow-up to that prescription probably while you and I were still living in Fort Myers. I had the prescription re-upped and I put it on file with one of these companies, one of these online medical device suppliers, where I have bought my supplies for 20 years. I'm not going to mention their name because, they might get in trouble. Well, no, they don't care. They have my prescription online in their files and have had it for 20 years. And I've probably bought 3 or 4 machines as they get older, wear out, or start to make noises or something. And the masks and stuff, they don't last forever, a couple, 3 years and you got to get a new one. So anyway, long story short, I have used this same company and the same prescription that has been on file with them for probably 15 years.
Now, when I had my first one, I was in Fort Myers like you.
Right.
I think I may have gotten it done at Health Park too. I'm not for sure.
Right.
And then I had to I think it started out being for the first, couple months monthly. And then maybe like every 6 months.
For what? What were you doing
How were you? Renewal? It was a way for the doctor probably to make money.
Of course.
It was just more of a chat than anything else.
And maybe because of your particular, healthcare condition, they may have wanted to see you more often. But I mean, literally, when I got my prescription, the doctor said, call if needed, but see ya.
what was really sad though, because I was telling him, I really don't want one of these,
Right.
I said, if they can, just a little thing like an oxygen thing I can put up my nose. And I said,
Right.
I can live with that. And he goes, well, they're pretty close to that. But this is what it is. If you need one of these and you don't get one, because the one who recommended the sleep study was my cardiologist
Right.
in Tampa.
Right.
So if you don't get this, not only is your cardiologist not going to be happy with you, but they're also not going to be happy with me.
Right.
Now, maybe you can stand your cardiologist yelling at you.
Well, A, I don't have a cardiologist, and B, I've never been yelled at by one rather. But you,
And
it's
neither
kind
have
of
I.
important. Yeah.
And neither have I. But now he said, and I do not want to be yelled at either, because I will be.
Right.
And so you would think with that speech that he gave me. Now, I did contact, I will tell you this happened probably 2 to 3 weeks ago.
Right.
I contacted my cardiologist.
Right.
I told them the story. I've been waiting on this thing for months.
Oh.
And then about a week or two later, I got a call to confirm my insurance.
Right.
And they go, okay, if this goes through we should be sending this out in the next week or two. And that's
Wow.
been like almost a month ago.
Wow.
So I don't know what the problem is, but like I said, if I don't hear anything back after that review and me trying to get a hold of them on the portal again this morning, I'll give it a couple of days, and I am going to make an appointment with another doctor.
There you go. So who is this guy? It was just, he wasn't your main cardiologist guy or whatever, your main team there at
No.
TGH. This was just what's his specialty? Pulmonologist?
Pulmonary. Yeah, that was it.
Pulmonologist,
But-
lungs and breathing and all that stuff. I
That's
probably
weird.
would do pretty good on Jeopardy.
You would.
I know. So anyway, you're right. There's probably only 1,000 more pulmonologists in the Tampa Bay area, and you could, or even in your area, who knows, that you could go find one. Although you have to stay under the umbrella of Tampa General. Is that your plan there?
I don't know. I'm to the point now where no, I'm not,
Right.
I went under the Tampa General. I don't know. I hate to. Maybe I should call my cardiologist again, see, now when you have a heart transplant or kidney transplant or any transplant, not only do you have a great doctor,
Right.
but you always have like 2 or 3 great coordinators.
Right.
So if I have any issues at all, I'll call, and most of the coordinators are nurse practitioners anyway.
Right.
So you will call them. They will say, okay, we need to see you, or okay, you need to be seen by the doctor.
Right.
Because I have called them on many occasions when I've had problems,
Oh, sure. You're there.
and they were there to help me right away.
Well, you're the golden boy. We know that.
So I'm thinking if I call them and I tell them the story that I just explained to you,
Sure.
something's going to happen.
Just have them come back and listen to the podcast. That'd be good enough. Listen to BJ and Bill rant about this for 20 minutes. That'd be great.
Yes.
Yes. So no, you're right though. You should get some action on this because it's important. I mean, I know how important it is to me. And if it was something that, like, for somebody like you, again, we don't want to pick on you for your health thing, but doggone, it's important for you. So yeah, light a fire under somebody. Come on, man. Come
like
on.
I said, I've been checking the old iWatch for, oxygen levels at night, because
Right.
it'll do it every once in a while. And I'll tell you right now, a few nights it has not been very good. It's been down into the 80s, and they said that is not good at all.
When I give, I'm a regular blood giver. I'm a regular, blood bank kind of guy. And they put the little blood oxygen thing on me when they're, doing the interview with you and all that. And it should be like mid to high 90s, shouldn't it? I mean, there's no reason for it not to be.
It's best at 95, 90, 94 is like, I guess what they would say. Anything under 94, they don't like.
Right.
But they like it around 95, 96. And that's what mine usually runs during the day.
That's what I'm saying.
I actually have one of those little gizmos that goes on my finger, like you were talking about.
Right.
Then I have one of these little gizmos on my, let's just see where it is right now.
This is
We'll
on
do
your
that while
iWatch. Your iWatch does that?
Yeah, my iWatch does that. It also, which I don't know how how accurate it is,
Right.
but it also do an EKG because there for a while I was having AFib.
Uh-huh.
So I would check that. Right now I have 96%. So very good number.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
So what makes it, so the medical question that you might not be able to answer, what makes it vary that much?
Well,
Is
if
it
you're
when
not
you
breathing,
get up in the morning and you've been sleeping and having these and having this, apnea issue at night?
yeah, that's what I would say. If you're not breathing,
Right.
your oxygen
That's
level's not going to be that
Breathing
high.
is important. Yes. Yeah.
He hasn't breathed for 2 minutes. Wow, his oxygen level is really going down.
No kidding. Wow. Who knew that people were going to tune in today for a complete General Hospital episode right here on the BJ and Bill podcast? Wow. Awesome.
Yeah. The only time I watch General Hospital and with Stephen A. Smith is the character that he plays on there.
Stephen A. Smith was on General Hospital?
Oh, he's not a regular, but he's a reoccurring
character. Really?
on General Hospital. He has been for years.
You're kidding.
No.
I was just kind of joking about the whole General Hospital thing, and now it's like I might have to watch. Is it still on?
What now?
Is it still on?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Now, my wife's soap opera, Days of Our Lives, is no longer on NBC.
Right.
But guess what?
It's on a streaming service somewhere.
We had to get Peacock
Just so you could
because
see it.
That's where my wife could get Days of Our Lives.
And that's been going on for 50 years or something like that, or what?
Probably more.
Alexa, how long has Days of Our Lives been on TV?
Days of Our Lives has been on since 1965.
1965.
65.
1935, 45, 55, 58 years. 58
Wow.
years. Holy cow. Okay. Now look at it. You're blowing me away with all kinds of things here today. Did you hear Alexa, by the way? Did you get to hear?
No,
it?
I couldn't hear, but you got
Oh,
the
okay.
answer.
I should park her right next to. Next time I'm going to do that. I'm going to park her right next here so we can just ask her random things. That
Now,
might be fun.
now is there one area that you ask her the most about?
A lot of sports stuff. I mean, I'll be watching football or basketball at night, and I'll say, "Hey, lady, where did so and so go to college, or what's the stats on this, or what?" So I ask her a lot of sports stuff. I have a little device in my bedroom that I use for alarms and weather and news and time. 4 times throughout the middle of the night, I'll wake up kind of halfway groggy, and it's like, do I want to go to the bathroom or not? And I'll say, Alexa, what time is it?
It's 10:50 a.m.
There you go. She says what time.
Oh, I even heard mine on that.
Yep. So yeah. So why do you ask it? Do you think we've already talked about this, that we think that they're listening to us, right?
I ask her probably the number one question, or she's my number one go-to person.
Yes.
Like, let's say I'm watching a show and someone who's been around probably for a few years is like a guest star on that particular show.
Right.
Or I read an article about them and I go, wow, how old would they be now? I do that a lot.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. How old is so-and-so? Or yeah. Well, we just did it with Days of Our Lives. So there you go.
Still hasn't figured out how to get it to play our podcast, but I know there's got to be a way.
That's on, and that's in my reminder list for this program, that we're going to teach her how to find that podcast. So
I cannot wait.
And then we'll share that with people so that they can find it with all that. But look at this. We've been doing the General Hospital thing now for a half an hour. And I'm sure if people are still listening here, God, we love you. Thank you for staying with us for all this talk of 2 old men talking about their health problems.
And by the way,
what?
And by the way, if people are wondering, when I said Stephen A. Smith, there might be some people that just watch the soap opera and they know him from the soap opera. But you and I,
right,
we know him from ESPN.
Well, that's just it. And to me, having seen him on ESPN and never seen him on the soap opera, when I see him on ESPN, I'm like, oh my God, I can't imagine that character on a soap opera. Does he kind of do the same shtick? The loud and obnoxious, not obnoxious, but the opinionated, super strong kind of guy.
Oh, great. Let's take a break because someone's at my door.
Oh, okay. All right. We'll talk more about Stephen A. Smith and everything else coming up in just a minute.
With the Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
This is your captain speaking. We've got clear runway and the weather's fine, but we're just going to circle up here a while and get lucky. No, nothing like that. It's just these cash prizes add up quick. So I suggest you sit back, keep your tray table upright, and start getting lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
It's the BJ and Bill podcast. I'm Bill Stevens. That's BJ Odom over there. If you would like to get in touch, remember our email address, bjandbillpodcast@gmail.com. And remember, as we always say, spell out the AND, bjandbillpodcast@gmail.com. Or just look it up on your nearest Facebook page. Do a search for BJ and Bill Podcast. There you go. BJ had
And
to
you can actually
jump up
Google
for
that.
what's that?
They can actually Google that and find out where to listen to us.
Oh,
You know, we're like on so many different platforms.
yeah. And I just saw a post from our boss, your son, that on his podcast this week, he's interviewing Kevin Costner.
Actually,
Didn't happen.
no, it happened.
Oh,
And the interview is up.
oh,
But that actual podcast, and when I saw it, I thought, oh, the guy from Yellowstone, this is going to be cool.
exactly.
So I started listening to it, and he's talking about mostly his music and his band and being on tour.
Oh, wow.
So he had recorded this probably just as he was beginning the tour. They're
Oh,
probably like in the middle. Well, he probably has to leave the tour. And now maybe since they probably recorded, maybe he's going back out on tour. So they thought they would maybe replay it again. But it's an older podcast, but it is still quite interesting.
I want to give it and I have to recommend it to my new lady friend who is a Yellowstone fanatic, and to show her how cool we are. That Gentry actually recorded a podcast with Kevin Costner would be cool. And I've watched a few of them, Yellowstones. They're good. They're really good. I mean,
I've not
they're
really watched
powerful.
that many, but usually when I'm at work on Sundays,
Yeah,
that's when my wife catches up.
there you go.
Now,
So
another
there's-
show kind of like that, but not really. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of like in the same direction. Monarch.
Monarch.
Uh,
Oh, that's about country. Well, that's respectfully disagree. That's about country music, right?
well, yeah, it's about a family in country music,
Right.
but it's kind of the same type where they'll do about anything to stay on top,
I got you.
So it's kind of like, instead of being old cowboys, these are like, the
Modern stuff.
but it's been
yeah.
canceled already.
Wow.
Because it's got Trace Atkins, it's got Sharon Stone, I think it is, or
No, yeah, I know who you're talking about. I can see your face, but I don't remember who you're talking
So it's
about.
got
But it's not
some-
Sharon Stone. Yeah, but
got
yeah,
some
you're right.
great-
I mean, it was a cool show. But yeah, with Yellowstone now, because he's governor now on this season of Yellowstone. Kevin Costner is now governor of the state and all the political intrigue and the backfighting and the New York people coming in trying to build a casino and blah blah blah. So yeah, it's interesting. It's cute. It's cute. Anyway,
Now-
we're off track on that.
and
No
I don't
worries.
remember the exact year, but the one that Tim McGraw and Faith Hill was in,
Right?
it was called 18 something or whatever, but it was like it was like the prequel.
Right.
That was very good. I watched all that.
And they're doing another prequel that's just simply called 1923 with Harrison Ford, amazingly enough, and Helen Mirren, I guess, as the parents of Costner. I'm not sure, or maybe grandparents. I don't know. I'm not into the whole timeline of all of that. I don't know it all, so I'm not going to open my mouth and and show you how dumb I am when it comes to all that. I just know that I watch it and it's interesting and it's cool and all of that. So there you go. So unbelievable. Well, speaking of podcasts, we were talking, I don't think I mentioned this to you last time we chatted, and it might have happened since then. An old friend of the show, and I know you know this name, an old friend of the show reached out to me because he and his wife live in the Villages now. The Reverend Gregory Keene, our old psychic buddy. And I remember having him on the show many times, and I think it's safe to say that the phones never rang as much as they did when Reverend Gregory Keene was on the program.
Oh, no kidding.
Of people wanting to get a message from him or get a little bit of spiritual insight from him. So his wife was in the military and is a retired service and had an appointment with the VA clinic here in Gainesville. So they drove up from the Villages where they spend the winter and had her appointment, and we got together for lunch last week and had a great time catching up. I hadn't seen them probably in a year, and talked about the show and all of that and how BJ and Bill are doing the podcast now. And hey, wouldn't it be cool to have the Reverend Gregory Keene on the podcast? And of course he's open for that. He's all he loves to get the word out there, and that's good for his business. So I can see having the Reverend Gregory Keene back on the show one of these days, and maybe we'll set that up so we can actually, I don't know, we can't take phone calls obviously, but we could get some questions in or something like that. So that would be a way cool thing to generate a little bit of buzz there for sure.
Too bad we can't take phone calls on the podcast because, well, people don't know when we're recording it. It's not like when we were on the air, we were live on the air with him. You
could do it. We could simply say that, here it is, like right now, it's Friday. It's a Friday between 10 and 11 a.m. Friday Eastern time. We're going to be recording the podcast. So at 10:30 a.m. start calling this number or whatever. But then we'd have to go through all kinds of technical stuff to get a phone call to record. And I'm not even sure. I guess I could just literally, we could literally just hold the iPhone up to the microphone and have somebody talk. That would work. I mean,
it's not, it's not like we do our podcast from the Shaq Fu studios like other people that we know that do podcasts. And by the way, when we were talking about the Kevin Costner podcast,
yes,
if people are wanting to know how to find that, Backstage with Gentry Thomas is what you would look for.
And where would you look for that, Mr. Odom? How would I find that podcast?
You could look at thepodcastplayground.com or any place where you get your podcast.
I love that. I don't know about you, but I'm really into the podcast thing. And I'm not saying that just because I'm on one. I'm really into the podcast because I walk around my neighborhood or ride my bike almost every night. Well, evening, sun's going down, nice out there. So I'll put my little earbuds in and I will listen to a podcast, and it makes the hour go by that much faster. And I learn so much interesting junk that you can't imagine. So I listen to a lot of podcasts and I really enjoy it. And I'm so happy that BJ and Bill are among the podcast universe there. It's really cool. It's really cool. So anyway,
like I told my son that if nothing else, you and I and probably at least 3 of our old-time listeners are really enjoying it.
Yes, we are. So, but I mean, you've seen statistics that show that we're actually getting some downloads and some listeners and stuff like that. So maybe people are finding it. Who knows?
Each show gets between 5 and 6 downloads. 5 and 6,000 downloads.
Downloads. 5 and 6,000 downloads. Now, are people actually listening to those downloads? We don't really. I mean,
they might listen to the first minute or two, and then they may go. I don't know.
Might. Who knows? Or we
some
captivate
people might
them
listen
with our fascinating medical stories that go on and on and on, and people just keep listening. Who knows?
The coolest thing, back to Gregory again.
Yes.
I still think the coolest story is when we were actually doing a show for Rinda Broadcasting, the company at the time. Now we were on it's called Groovin'. But it was grooving oldies. It was kind of like, old R&B and
yes,
soul music and like the
that was after the oldies 95 days and then grooving oldies. Yes, I remember
that was
it well.
Kind of a return for us. Yes.
Yes, kind of was.
And I never will forget the time that he was in on the show and we were taking calls, and our GM, Mr.
General
Kelly
manager.
there,
General manager.
was, he was enjoying the broadcast and we were on a break,
Yes.
and he walked in and says, "Oh man, this is sounding great on the air. I've been listening." And Gregory looks at him and goes, "How's the painting job going?" And he almost dropped, or I don't know if he dropped or almost did something else in his drawers, but he like just, how did you know we were painting at my house?
I remember, I totally remember that. It was awesome and totally the way Reverend Gregory works. That's totally his style, is that he will, because he did it to me the first time he and I met. And I'm talking about, oh my goodness, 25 years ago, maybe more than that. Well, no, 25 would be 25 years ago. 25 years ago, he did that exact same thing to me, except on something so over the top, so crazy that only I knew it. I mean, literally, I knew it and nobody else. And he pulled something out of thin air, duh, and gave it to me into my face like that at a party where he and I met. And I'm like, okay, I get it. And yeah, it was Kelly. No. Yeah, his name was
Kelly. Was his
first
name?
Yeah.
Is that his first name or his last name?
That was his first name. And he and I had a little connection. That's our old general manager at Groovin' Oldies. Because he and I went to the same university. We both went to Ohio University, not Ohio State, Ohio University, Athens, Ohio, separated by just a few years. And I think he and I are still connected on Facebook, although I don't really see a whole lot from him. Do you hear anything?
I'm kind of the
from him
same
at
way.
all?
I don't see a whole lot. I know he moved up to Orlando.
Yes.
But now I do believe he's in Nashville, Tennessee.
I'm not really, close with any of those folks or whatever. I'm not close with any of those folks other than you, obviously. So, you and your son. So there you go. I don't know. Are you one of those people that go ahead?
Well, people won't know her name anyway. Some will, I guess, because she was on the air when I went out to Arcadia at 106.9 The Bull. But remember Casey Williams? Well, Casey Williams from back in the day.
I'm not sure I remember that name.
She was one of the salespeople.
Okay.
And then she went out and did some sales because she was actually from that area and would drive like almost, every day to work all the way from Arcadia.
Wow.
And then, she went to work at the station out there, and she ended up being the sales manager. From the sales manager, she went to the general manager. So it was pretty cool. I keep in contact with her, but she now lives in Indiana doing nothing at all in broadcasting.
I am still friends with and again, we have to be careful how we say friends, because it's Facebook friends. You see their posts once in a while and you put a smiley face on it and you think, oh, we're still in touch. No, you're not. You're just clicking a mouse on something they posted, But there's a lady who was a salesperson at my very first radio station in Fort Myers, which at the time was the one that would go on to be where Stan and Haney were. 95.
It was Super Q, and then
Super
it was, and then it became I almost said 97 Rock. No, that was Wink. That was 97 Rock.
Yeah,
96 K Rock is what it became.
Yes. Anyway, before all of that, I mean, literally the station that got me to Fort Myers from Columbus, Ohio, there was a lady who was a salesperson there, who I still see her posts on Facebook. And again, like most, I'm not going to say like most, a lot of these radio folks that have been around for a while, it seems like a lot of them migrate over to real estate after a while, because it's probably a little more money and a little, I don't know if it's less work, but a little less, a few fewer fires to put out, fewer, crazy clients, fewer whatever. So yeah,
definitely more money.
Definitely more money in real estate.
But
at least there used to be.
But if they work like my realtor works, she's like almost on call 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
And, if I've got a question or if anybody, I've sold property before and I've had realtors before, and most of them are very, quick to getting back with you.
Right.
But this girl, she goes beyond anything that I've ever seen in the real estate business. And we got to know her from my daughter because she helped my daughter buy her first house. And then, of course, she got divorced, helped her buy her second house, helped sell her house that she had when she got to, and, she seemed like a really nice, pleasant girl. So
Mm-hmm.
I always told her if I ever, not that I ever thought I'd sell this place,
Right.
but I made the promise to her. If I ever sell my house, I'm going to call you.
There you go.
And I guess I'm just one of those guys that keep to my word. And now that I have,
God bless you.
I'm so proud of that girl. She's just like, she is a go getter. She was even telling me, well, because she works with her mother and her sister.
Oh, wow.
And she was telling me the story. Oh man, I thought I would never go into real estate because I remember being a little girl and all the time my mom would have to get up from the table or she'd have to be on the phone or she'd have to go do a showing. And she goes, I said back then, I will never be a realtor. And she says, here I am, a realtor, and I'm just like my mom. I'm like ready to go at a moment's notice, 24/7.
But she must love it. And it
Yeah.
obviously pays her pretty well too.
Yeah.
I had a similar experience when I was with taking care of my mother for a year or two in Cleveland. When we were selling that house and she was moving into an assisted living and blah, 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 blah. She told me the name of the real estate agent that she and my father had used for years in buying and selling 2 or 3 different houses. And she gave me the name. And then when she made her, transition, not her life to death transition, when she transitioned out of her house into her assisted living, and then it fell on me later on because she did eventually pass that I had to close up the thing. So anyway, long story short, found this real estate agent. He didn't have to find him. His signs were everywhere in my mom's neighborhood in Cleveland because he was the guy. And he was like that too. He was on it. Everything. You need help with this? I got a guy. You need this done? Plumbing, fixing, lawn maintenance. I got a guy. I'll have him call you. And I mean, he didn't just give me the number. He would be like, the phone would ring and it's like, oh, Mr. Tim something. I forget his last name. I should give him a shout out. Tim told me to call you. How can I help? And I'm like, oh my God, this is the real deal. This is a guy who, like you said, 24/7 on it, whatever you need, they're ready to go. And I'm like, how rare are those people these days? How rare.
It's kind of like
Tim,
she lives it and breathes it.
I'm looking him up. I know you can't see it because I want to give him a shout out. If there's any chance that he is, and I'm sure he's still in business. I don't know that. But you can't see this, but I'm actually doing a quick. Yep, there he is. That's his picture. Tim Ali, Ali. Shout out to Tim Ali, Realtor, Middleburg Heights, Ohio. Anyway, I'm gonna post that on his Facebook wall that he got a shout out from BJ and Bill on the podcast. Almost at the end of the show, but it's good to go.
I've known this girl for over 3 years.
Right.
I've also met her sister a few times. I haven't met her mother yet, but her name is Katie. And
Okay.
you can tell me how you say this name.
Uh-oh.
She's a cutie pie too. I shouldn't probably say that, but I will.
That's all right.
But it's CARVAJAL.
See, well, okay, wait a minute. Now I got to write that down. So CARVA what?
GAL.
G.
Katie,
as in
KATIE. I can get that one.
Carvagal? Like that? Carvagal? Is that right? Did you CARVAGAL?
Yep.
Carvagal. I mean, that doesn't sound that hard, but maybe we're saying it badly wrong. So shout out. It's a medical and real estate show here with PJ and Bill today. So there you go. Awesome.
So if you're ever in Central Florida, look that lady up because she's a she's a go-getter. I'll just
And
tell
if
you
you're
that.
ever
She
in
will
the-
do anything and everything she can to sell your home.
And
And
if
in
you're ever on
fact,
the west side of Cleveland, Parma,
this is
Parma
very-
Heights, Middleburg Heights, Tim Ali, Ali, real easy,
And-
Tim Ali.
And very few times does this actually happen.
What's that?
He was, usually you list it with someone and then someone else usually ends up selling it.
A different agent.
Yes. She has listed it and she has sold it.
Wow. So she's making a good buck on that too.
And she usually works out of the Orlando area.
Okay.
And, like I said, because my daughter was, around the Orlando area. And we are kind of like a I don't know, far away suburb. We can be in Orlando like within 45 minutes.
Right.
But yeah, even all the way down here, she was the one that listed and sold it. Because I figured I'll let her list it. Probably somebody from the, this area will probably end up selling it.
Mm-hmm. But she did too.
Yeah.
So she's hustling. That's good. I mean, that's what you want in a real estate agent. You want somebody who's on the ball and doing that. So look at how we've talked. So as we got 5 minutes or so still to talk, but I mean, look at how we've covered all of these kind of service type businesses today and how important it is for businesses to actually talk to people, talk to their customers. I mean, you had a great experience with your real estate agent, and so did I. And you had a not so great experience with a doctor who you would think should know better, and how much that influences what we think of them and their business and the service they give and all of that stuff. Let this be a lesson to you out there, American businesses. Come on, step it up.
And when I call Katie,
what's that?
When I call Katie, Katie answers the phone.
That's right.
When I text Katie, Katie returns a text.
Right.
Now, this doctor, you either have to get a hold of him through a portal,
right,
or you call another number that probably manages 20 doctor's offices.
Right.
And really, you can't get a hold of the doctor, but you can get a hold of the billing department and, internal affairs or whatever, but you cannot get a hold of the doctor or the doctor's office and say, hey,
right,
this is what I need.
Right. Right. And yeah. And it's funny because I mean, I don't go to the doctor very much, but I do have a dentist still in Sarasota that I've gone to. And it's literally like the dentist, the hygienist, the assistant, the front desk lady, 4 of them. But when you call, she picks up the phone. And
yes.
And if you have a question, she's like, hang on, I'll go ask the doctor. And then she comes back in a few minutes and he, and says, oh, the doctor says do this, this, and this, and this. And by the way, we can get you in here and here and here. What works for you? And I'm like, that's so nice to be able to talk to a human being. Yeah.
Yeah, most doctor's offices anymore, you got to go through. I mean, you want to throw your phone out the window by the time you get to them. I will say this though, like I said, because I did have a transplant, maybe obviously if I didn't have a transplant and it was another doctor, maybe the story would not be the same.
That's right.
But I can always call the office and it's not really an office. I mean, there's many doctors there that, all are transplant doctors, but someone will pick up the phone.
Right.
And they will say, who's this, what's your birth date and all that other stuff. And then they'll say, what's the problem? Let me get a message to your coordinator. And usually within 2 or 3 hours, that coordinator will call me back.
You mean they don't know you? They don't know you by name? They don't know, oh, it's BJ Odom on the phone. Hang on, let me get somebody.
Well, some of these ladies that pick up the phone, I think, because even sometimes, like I've had some issues like on the weekend or in the evening.
Right.
And there's still someone on call, but you'll get one of those like,
that's a service. Yeah, that's an answering service.
And that's great for someone, who could possibly need some medical assistance or at least have some questions that need to be answered now or, within the next few minutes anyway.
It's kind of like it's kind of doctors with their services and lawyers. In an accident, 2 a.m. on a Saturday, call me. I'll pick up the phone. Yeah, of course you will, because it's worth millions of dollars. But same thing goes. Do you want to be of service to your customers, or do you want to make it hard for them? Because I remember, I mean, when this whole thing started with, you know, push number 1 for this, number 2 for this, number 3 for this, number 4 for that. I can remember my father telling me that he would, you know, pull his hair out trying to, you know, because he was not a technical guy at all. But
they're getting more complicated.
It's getting more complicated. It's getting more complicated. They're making it harder and harder because there's so many options, or it's like, I'm not sure how to answer that question. And, you know, the darn machine is there going, please enter your answer now. You know, press one, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't know. Okay. So
I'm not the only one that has almost committed suicide by calling someone. That makes me feel better.
Well, I don't know if I've gone that far, but it's been right there. It's been right on the edge. I'll say that.
I think I cuss those automation machines out. You know, I will shout at those automation machines just about as much as I yell at my Alexa.
At least with you know who, she'll answer you back every time.
Yeah, but she might say something
but she'll at least answer you back.
That's true.
Right. I get it. That's sad. That's just sad. All right. Anything else we'd like to BITCH about today, Mr. Odom, or have you had about enough for 1 week?
I'm trying to think what I can pack,
because we haven't covered a darn thing that I thought we would cover. I will say this. This is a little bit of current events, or, you know, because normally you can't really talk about what's happening. But as we record this podcast, last night, the Thursday night football game on Amazon Prime was one of the wildest, craziest, coolest, funnest games I have seen in a long time, because a guy that used to be my guy, who used to be Baker Mayfield, quarterback for the Cleveland Browns, the number 1 draft pick out of Oklahoma 3-4 years ago, whatever it was. Baker Mayfield came to Cleveland, was going to be the savior, was going to be the man, and he wasn't. He was good. He wasn't great. And I think it's because the Cleveland Browns, my old team, didn't really put the pieces around him that he needed, you know, to give him the protection or the whatever. So this year, when the Browns made this big deal for their quarterback for Deshaun Watson, they released Baker Mayfield over the summer. He ended up going to the Carolina Panthers. He got to Carolina, same thing. It was kind of like, he's good, but it's just not shaking out. So Carolina released him literally last weekend. Carolina released him. He got on a plane. He got a call, and he got on a plane, and he went to Los Angeles, where he joined the Rams, the LA Rams, literally less than 2 days ago, 44 hours or something like that. He was in the Rams locker room and camp. He learned enough about the team and the offense to play last night. They started their third string quarterback. He literally played for 2 minutes. The Rams, they took him out. They put Baker Mayfield in the early of the first quarter. Mayfield played the entire game, was again okay. And then it came to the last drive where the Las Vegas Raiders punted. So the LA Rams had to start on their own 2-yard line. 98 yards to go, needed a touchdown and an extra point to win it. Baker Mayfield puts together a drive in 2 minutes that covered 98 yards and ended with like a 30-yard touchdown pass to the back of the end zone to tie the game. They kicked the extra point, and the LA Rams beat the LA Raiders last night in Los Angeles. And the announcers, Al Michaels and Herb Street, are just going bananas over this. Like, who is this? How did he do that? How did he? And they had him on the post-game interview. I'm sorry I'm rambling about this, but it was just so exciting and fun to watch. They had him on the post-game last night, and all of the other people on the post-game are going, what the hell just happened? And Mayfield is like, I don't know.
Yeah, don't ask me to do this again next week.
But yeah, see you again next week, folks. But it was so much fun to watch. And so it kind of restored my faith in the game and in Mayfield. I don't know about Mayfield, if he'll ever be any good or not. Be great or not. He'll be good. But well, anyway,
at least
it was fun to watch. It was fun to watch.
You've just explained the Facebook post I saw earlier today before we did the show.
Oh, I haven't looked on Facebook. What did you see?
He was the greatest quarterback of all times.
I think Tom Brady might have something to say about that.
Yeah. I was like, I
But
don't know,
he did a Brady thing. He absolutely did a Brady thing because that's how Brady ended the game last week. His game too. Same thing. Last minute drive out of nowhere. The team had been looking like stale beer for an hour. And then he pulls a rabbit out of a hat. Boy, how many cliches can I mix? And it's like, whoa. So yeah, that was Mayfield last night too. Oh my gosh. Okay. I rant over. I promise I'm done.
Before we go, because we're about out of time.
Yeah.
So how many more weeks is there left in this season before we go to the playoffs? Just a couple?
Alexa, how many more weeks to go in the regular NFL season?
From Essential.com, just 3 weeks remain in the NFL regular season.
3 weeks remain in the regular NFL season. There you go.
So do you think the Bucks will get it in or not?
Well, the Bucks are in a division where no team is better than 500. They're all terrible.
Yeah, and they are like in first place with 500.
Yeah, exactly right. So yeah, they'll get into the playoffs, but they'll probably get their butts whipped as soon as they face a real team, that's actually had a good season or something like that.
A real team.
I mean, it's the Bucks, it's New Orleans, it's Atlanta, it's Carolina. They're all terrible this year. Well, I shouldn't say terrible. They're all below 500. I don't know what's going to happen. It's going to be interesting.
If one of I think who's behind them, whatever team's behind them,
right,
in their division, they could still overcome the Bucks.
Mm-hmm.
And if they do with that record, the Bucks will never even make the playoffs. Oh well, we'll just have
There's
to wait.
Zero chance. There is zero chance of any team from that division getting in with a wild card. Not a chance. Can't happen.
Yeah.
So mathematically impossible. So anyway, who knows? That's ended on a high note, folks. Ended on a high note. That's what we do around here. So great.
Bill Stevens, he has thrown the winning pass and the game is over.
Woohoo. That's me. All right, everybody. So there you go. Next week we'll be back. And we actually had both BJ and I both had some notes of things that we wanted to talk about, and we covered exactly 0 of those things. So next week we will be back with another exciting show, and we will cover, I promise we will try to cover some of the things that we were actually going to plan on talking about. But that's it for this week.
Actually, we'll have to cover those this is 14. Wait, this is 15.
15.
Then 16 is our Christmas edition.
Oh boy.
We're going to be talking about Christmas stuff.
Oh boy.
Decorate the tree, baby.
There you go.
Then I guess it's going to be 2 weeks before they actually get to hear what we were actually going to talk about today.
If that's not a tease, I don't know what is. Awesome. Have yourself a good week, Mr. Odom. I'll talk to you soon, right?
Yes, you will.
Up until that time, everybody, you all have a good weekend. It's time now for Mr. BJ to say,
see ya.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Coincidence? I think not. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere, even at 30,000 feet. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
No purchase necessary. VGW. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.